Today, I would like to introduce our content marketing machine, a process automation tool designed to automate the entire topic of content creation, significantly save time, and still deliver outstanding quality in the end, just as if you had written it yourself. At Pickard, we have been dedicated to quality and process optimization for over 40 years. With automated processes, you relieve your company of routine tasks, have much less manual work, and can focus more on your core business and value creation. If you want to know more, just book a call with me. You can find the link below in the description. For this, we use a tool called make.com, and this tool is a no-code automation platform that we use to automate all sorts of things here. And using this example of content marketing, I just want to explain to you how it works. I'll go over this entire example in a quick overview because it would take too long to explain everything in detail. And what I'll do next is, for each of the individual components in these scenarios that we see here, I'll make short videos that explain exactly how things work in each of these components. But first, to give you an overview of what we're actually doing in this example. After everything has run through, we'll publish a blog post on WordPress. We can make a LinkedIn post. We can do Facebook posts, Instagram. We can publish tweets on X. We can publish carousels on Instagram or Facebook, and much more. Beyond that, there are a whole lot of other things like video and audio and so on. But there will also be dedicated videos in the future showing how we do that. In the first scenario, we create a blog post from an idea. That means, first of all, we have the table that we're using here. This is an Airtable. And in this table, someone enters an idea, for example, this one here, and a focus keyword that should be used. And based on these two fields, ChatGPT now gets to work to create a blog post. And what's special about this is that we don't just say, hello, ChatGPT, write a blog post, but instead we work here with so-called assistants. I'll also make a separate video about assistants because it's a bit complex, but I'll just show it here with this one example. I'll switch over here to the Assistants tab. We can see here that there are quite a lot of these assistants. I've already opened the Write Blog Post assistant here. Here you can see the extensive prompting that's used to write this blog post. We can also see here that we can add a knowledge base, meaning documents, which ChatGPT can then use to learn, for example, what good articles in your style look like, or to incorporate your specific expertise. So we're working here with an assistant like this, which is then called up through this component here. And I'll show this now using this example, write blog. Of course, I need the connection to OpenAI, and I select my assistant from the list that I have created. As we can see here, there are quite a lot of different assistants. I've also given each of them specific names so that with the large number of assistants we've built, we can still find our way around easily. And then we pass this idea and the focus keyword to the assistant. And the response is then, well, the blog article, and then the process continues from there with the next assistant, which cleans up the blog article because, for example, it might contain footnotes or formatting that we don't want. Then we have a separate assistant that creates a catchy article title based on the actual article. We've outsourced this step specifically because it simply delivers a better quality result. Then we create the so-called meta information, meaning the meta description and meta title, which are also important for SEO. We extract this text here and also create a tagline. So this is a tagline. It's like a statement that's more in the style of FOMO, meaning fear of missing out. It's a different kind of title for this article. After that, we use ElevenLabs to create an MP3 file from the blog post using any voice we like. If you're not familiar with ElevenLabs, you can just take a look here. That's ElevenLabs.io. You sign up there and you can synthesize your own voice, but you can also choose from a whole range of pre-made voices and use one of them to turn a text into a speech file, an MP3 file. And you can, for example, publish it on your blog if you want to offer people the option to listen to the article instead of reading it. Yes, and this file is created here and then stored in a folder on Google Drive, or rather, this folder is created here first. We can see that here. It's a folder called Demo, for example, or here, Results. And then, for example, a folder is created here where all these files are stored. That's also where this audio file is uploaded. And now the next step is to create images. You're probably familiar with systems like DALL-E or MidJourney. For some time now, Flux and Ideogram have also been getting a lot of press coverage. You can read about it. That's what we're going to do here now. We take the blog post and generate an image prompt from it. In other words, a prompt that will be used to create the image. And then we use 4 different generators simply to create 4 different images. And of course, in the end, you can always just say you only want one or the other. That's obvious. I can just remove them from here. So the first one is an assistant again. No, in this case, it's not an assistant, but rather the $3 function from OpenAI, that is from GPT, to which I simply pass this image prompt here. Then I create an image in a one-to-one format using Ideogram. And as you can always see here, I also give the elements, the modules, a name so that it's always easy to recognize what this component is actually about. With Ideogram, there is a dedicated API for this, and you can find this API on the Ideogram website. There I have to sign in and possibly choose a plan if needed. And then under the section labeled API, I can find my API key, which I'm able to generate right there on the page. And this API key, which must absolutely always be kept secure, and of course, for security reasons, should definitely not be shown to anyone, can be generated here. And then I can use this API. In Ideogram itself, it looks like this. I call up the API with the appropriate method. Then I have to enter my key here, and below I select raw and on. And then I also have a specific prompt here that tells the system what kind of image I want to create. For example, a one-to-one image. We do it the same way with Flux. Flux is also a system that has recently received good press for producing excellent images. And it's the same there. That means with Flux, I also need an API. However, I have to go through a different system for that. For example, there is Replicate or Fall AI. I use Fall AI for a very specific reason, which I will explain in the upcoming videos. And here as well, there are corresponding keys that we need to call, which we can then use for our system. Let's go back here. And again, this call looks identical. We have to specify a different URL, a different one, the API key, of course, then again down here, raw and JSON application and so on. And here again, a call like this, such a request, which in the end generates this image. And in both cases, the result is an image at the end, which I can then use further as needed. It gets a bit more complicated with MidJourney. MidJourney does not have an official programming interface, so you have to take a different approach for MidJourney, namely by using the platform user API as an example, which offers an interface. But this interface is a bit more complicated. I don't just make a single call and get the image as a result. Instead, I actually have to go through several scenarios here. I've already published a video about this, though it's in English. You can find out how that works on our channel as well. Just a quick note for your information. I have what's called a webhook here. That means I call the MidJourney interface here. The moment the first step is generated, that is the 4 images that MidJourney always creates, this so-called webhook triggers the second scenario, which then selects one of these 4 images, specifically the first one, and downloads it in full size. And then I receive another notification via a second webhook, namely this one here, which allows me to actually download the final image. So It's all a bit complicated, but as I said, you can find it explained in the video. And after I've generated everything now, everything we see here, from the blog post to the meta information, the audio file, the images, and so on, we then go back into our Airtable and update all the information there. That means the blog post goes in here, the title, meta description, the Google Drive path, the DALL-E image, the Ideogram image, the Flux image, the MidJourney image, all of that gets entered in the third scenario. And the other things like the carousels and so on will follow in the next scenarios. Why are we doing it this way? Well, basically, we want to give the user the option at the end to view the results by sending the user an email and saying, here is your new blog article. Then you can simply use this link to open it up in Airtable and carefully proofread it. That means I go in here, take a look at this article, and can edit the text as much as I want until I'm completely satisfied with it. And once I've finished that, I click, since all these fields are already filled in here, I then click next on Create Social. And when I do this here, Create Socials, our next scenario is triggered, which, as the name suggests, actually generates the social media content. And here it continues in exactly the same way. That means through this webhook, this process is started, this automation. And because I clicked on Create Socials in a specific row here, the ID of that row is passed to the scenario. And with that, I can then use the Airtable component to retrieve the content again. Yes, and then, as the name suggests, create LinkedIn post, Facebook post, Instagram post, X post. These are all assistants. Then we have here another, an extra module called Banner Bear. Banner Bear is actually a pretty cool tool. I'll just head over to the website here. For example, I can create various templates there. Let's take a look at them right now. I have 3 different ones here. This template, for example, is a 1-to-1 format with an image at the top, some text here, and a logo at the bottom. And what you can do with automation is, for example, swap out the image or this text to produce individual results. And we've created several such templates here, which are then selected at random so that not everything always looks the same. Yes, so that means we call up Banner Bear here and then determine how many templates there are, use a random generator to select one, and then we create this Banner Bear image. But again, similar to what we just saw with MidJourney, it also works in such a way that when Banner Bear is finished creating the image, Banner Bear then triggers another scenario via a webhook, which we use to download the image and write it into our Airtable. So in other words, it's called Banner Bear. So then we create 6 slides for LinkedIn. You might know this when you have a document on LinkedIn that you can flip through like a slideshow. And in this specific case, that's what we've decided to do. We have a title page and we have a closing page, and we have 6 slides in between. And we then create the corresponding texts for these 6 slides. And for this, we then use Google Slides. You might not be familiar with it. What I can do in Google Slides is I can set placeholders in such a template. So for example, here, title or subtitle with these double curly brackets, and also things like icon 1 or slide 1 and so on. And now with this automation, I can actually replace these contents. And you can see that here, when I click on Create Slideshow, I just want to quickly show that then this component recognizes all these elements. And here, for example, title. So from these generated contents, I take the title or the icon and the slides and so on. And in this way, I create a Google slideshow. But since, for example, I need it as a PDF for LinkedIn, I want to convert it into a PDF. For that, I use Google Drive's Convert to PDF feature. Then I save this PDF in the directory that we created earlier. We can also quickly take a look at that here. Here is an old example as a result. And as you can see, this is the voice file, by the way. And here is the PDF with the corresponding contents. So, and then it's the case that if we want to use such a carousel, which we've just created on Instagram or Facebook, then these have to be images. It doesn't work as a PDF. Instead, you have to generate images. There's also a component for this, a module called Convert. It's called Cloud Convert. You can simply sign up there, and you also get a certain number of conversions per day for free. It's a really practical tool. And as we can see here, you can convert PDF to JPEG. And it's also a little bit more complicated. I have to upload this document. Then I want to convert the input, which is a PDF, into a JPEG. But I have 8 individual images here. So I first need to retrieve these images and then restructure them into an array so that I can actually use these images together as a group, so to speak. Yes, and last but not least, what we are not actively implementing in this scenario right now, but just have here for now, are additional assistants with which, for example, we have a script for a YouTube video, YouTube Shorts video, or even for a TikTok video. And once we've done all of that, in the end, we update our Airtable again. That means all the results that have been created here, we can see them here. They're all listed in the back now. And with that, our table is filled. And here as well, the person responsible is notified again by email. You can find your social media posts in Airtable, and you can also, when you go back into this Airtable, here we can see in these examples at the top where different images have been created. Then, for example, this banner bear image, you can already see that, for instance, different templates were used here and here. Then the carousel as a PDF, the carousel in the form of individual images, which you can see here, and then also a post text, the LinkedIn post, the Facebook post, and so on. And back here, you also have the scripts for the videos. And here as well, at the end, I can say, well, I've looked at everything and I'm satisfied. All of this can go online. Then I click here on Post Socials, and the third scenario is triggered, which I briefly showed at the beginning. We select the image here, download it, upload it to WordPress, create a blog post for it, and post the LinkedIn post on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. We tweet on X, and here, since we have these 8 individual images for this carousel, we need to use a loop to fetch these images and then post them on Instagram and Facebook. And then at the end, the person responsible is informed again that the social media posts have been published. Yeah, so of course, there's quite a lot to see here as well. That's why, as I mentioned at the beginning, I will go into all the details of these elements in the following videos. Starting with the assistance through to using the various components and modules also with Make. I'll give you some more information on that so that you can learn how all of this works. If you don't want to learn it yourself, but still find it super interesting, not just these marketing topics, but other automations as well, then of course you can always reach out to us because we're also able to automate any processes you like, and we're happy to do that for you. That's it for now. Have fun with it, and I'm already looking forward to your feedback. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you'll always be notified. That way you'll know when these short videos come out that explain the details. And of course, I'm always happy to receive your comments as well. That's it for now. See you next time. Bye.